Hi, welcome to my video on the graph of a square root function. Let's graph each square root function stating the starting point, the domain, and the range. Well, the starting point for this equation is x opposite of negative 2 is 2, and y is 0. And when we look at the basic equation, which is y equals root x, the table of values is 0, 1, 4, and 9. And the square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. And if we look at the mapping rule that goes with this one, if we take the basic equation and apply the mapping rule to that equation, then the mapping rule would be x plus 2 comma y, and that's x comma y mapped to. So that means the new table, you've got an x plus 2 and a y. So you're going to add 2 to all of these numbers, 2, 3, 6, 11, and the y's do not change. So as a result, this is the new table of values for this equation. And if we graph that, we have x is 2, y is 0. We got x is 3, y is 1. X is 6, y is 2, and 6 would be right there. And if we go out further, x is 11, then y is 3. So 11 will be way over here. So there, this would be the graph to represent that. And domain is the x, and the domain starts off at 2. And notice it's a plus here, so it's greater than or equal to. And the table of values says it starts at 2, 3, 6, 11 is going up. The range is the y values. The y values start at 0. And there's a plus here, so it's greater than or equal to 0, or you look at the table of values, 0, 1, 2, you see it's getting larger. Remember now, you can pause your video at any time to see if you can work these out. And here we go. This starting point here, x minus or x plus 1, so minus 1 is the opposite of the plus with the 3. So if you put a negative 1 in this root, negative 1 here, you get a 0. Root of 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, so y is 3. And again, the basic equation with the table of values, x, y is 0, 1, 4, 9, and 0, 1, 2, 3. When we do the root of each of these, we get 0, 1, 2, 3. And if we do the mapping rule on this equation, the mapping rule is x plus 1, so that's an x minus 1, and we got a negative 2y plus 3. So that means that if you take the x is mapped to x minus 1, the y is mapped to negative 2y plus 3. So we got to take 1 off of each of these numbers. So 1 off is negative 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. 4 minus 1 is 3. 9 minus 1 is 8. Now we take the 0, 1, 2, and 3 and sub in here. Put a 0 in, we get a 3. Put a 1 in, negative 2 plus 3 is 1. And we put 2 in, we get a negative 2 here. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And put a 3 in, we get negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. And we will draw that. So we have this equation gives you this table of values. So x is negative 1, y is 3. X is negative 1, y is 3. X is 0, y is 1. X is 0, y is 1. X is 3, y is negative 1. X is 3, y is negative 1. X is 8, y is negative 3. X is 8, y is negative 3. And these points, now we can draw. And you notice, again, the domain is the x values, and the x values are starting at negative 1, which we can see in the table, and they're growing higher. They're getting, the table says to get negative 1, 0, 3, 8, but you can see in the graph too that it's going to the right, so it's greater than or equal to. The range is the y value starting at 3. So it's 3, see the table of values, 3, 1, negative 1, negative 3. So the y's are going down, so it's less than equal to 3. Let's go to a new page. Practice means pause the video and see if you can graph these. So we have an equation, but we should factor the inside of negative 2x plus 2 becomes an x minus negative 2 times x minus 1. Negative 2x divided by negative 2 is x. Plus 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. So we have a starting point, and the starting point would be x is 1. We put a 1 in, we get a 0, and y is negative 4, so we get 1. Negative 4 is the starting point. And again, I always like to look at the table of values for the basic, and that's x, y, 0, 1, 4, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3. And the mapping rule, let's see what the mapping rule is. The mapping rule is we have a negative 2, so that's a negative a half x, and that's a minus 1, so that's a plus 1. So remember, in terms of the x there inside, we have to do the reciprocal of this number times x and the opposite of the negative 1. Done. And the y is no number here, no negative, just a negative 4. So it's y minus 4. That's the mapping rule. So, table of values based on that. So, we get a negative a half x plus 1 and y minus 4. So let's take each of these values here now and sub in here. Put a 0 in. 0 plus 1 is 1. And put a 1 in. We get a negative a half times 1 is a negative a half plus 1 is a half. Sub in 4. Negative a half times 4 is negative 2. Plus 1 is negative 1. 9 in. Negative a half times 9 is a negative 9 over 2, which is add 1. 2 over 2, so that gives us a negative 7 over 2, or a negative 3.5. Now let's take these values of y and sub in this mapping rule. 0 subbed in for y gives you negative 4. 1 subbed in for y gives you negative 3. 2 in for y gives you negative 2. And 3 in for y gives you negative 1. So the graph becomes 1 gives you negative 4, which is right here. A half gives you negative 3. A half is right here, gives you negative 3. Negative 1 gives you negative 2. X is negative 1, negative 2. And negative 3.5. There's 1, 2, 3. Negative 3.5 gives you negative 1. And you can see that the graph is swinging like this. And as a result, we now have the graph done. So let's go and get the domain. The domain starts at, domain is x, and the domain is going, the x's are going to the left, so x is less than or equal to 1. The range is the y, starting at -4, and the y's are going up, so it's greater than or equal to. So the x's are going to the left, so it's less than or equal to. The y's are going up, greater than or equal to. Okay, let's do another one. The starting point on this equation is x is opposite of the +2 is a -2, and with 1. And the table of values, again, I keep writing this down because what I do, I never forget it. 0, 1, 4, 9. And square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, 4 is a 2, square root of 9 is a 3. And the mapping rule, so as you can see, it's important that you know how to pick out the mapping rule of the equation. So that's a +2, so the x is an x -2, and the y is -y + 1. So that's the new, going to give me the new table of values of x -2 and -y + 1. So we take the x's and we subtract 2 from them. 0 subtract 2, -2, 1 subtract 2 is -1, 4 subtract 2 is 2, and 9 subtract 2 is a 7. And we take these values of y and sub in here. 0 subbed in gives me 1, 1 subbed in gives me 0, 2 subbed in gives me -1, 3 subbed in gives me -2. And we draw the graph. -2 gives me a 1, -1 gives me a 0, 2 gives me -1, and 7, okay, let's say 7 is there, gives me -2. And so the graph comes down the graph, and domain and range. Domain is the x's, range is the y's. Domain starts at -2, the x's start at -2, and they are going to the right. As you can see, they're getting larger, so it's greater than or equal to. The y values start at 1. The y values are going down from the graph, so it's less than or equal to. Or if we look at a table of values, you can see you've got 0, 1 going to 0, the -1, -2. It's getting less. So that's domain and range and the graph. So I'm trying to be consistent, trying to do it the same way all the time, so you just don't guess. And number 3, last one to do, and it starts at, we have to factor. We have to take out the negative. Negative x divided by negative is a positive x. -1 divided by negative is a positive 1. So the start point is the opposite of the +1, which is a -1. And we put a -1 in here. Oh, I forgot to put 2 there. Put a -1 in, y becomes -2. And y equals root of x, x, y, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 4, 9. Square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. And the mapping rule on this equation, we have a negative, so we had a negative of the x. Opposite of +1 is a -1, and the y is a -y -2. And we have a table of values of -x -1, -y -2. Put a 0 in, we get -1. Put a 1 in, we get -2. Put a 4 in, we get -5. Put a 9 in, we get -10. Now let's put the y's in this expression. 0 going in gives you negative 2. 1 going in gives you negative 3. 2 going in here gives you negative 4. And 2 going in gives you negative 4. And 10 going in, when you put when you put the 0 in, you get a negative 2. When you put the 1 in, you get a negative 3. When you put the 2 in, you get negative 4. When you put the 3 in, you get negative 5. And let's graph. Negative 1 gives you negative 2. X is negative 1, y is negative 2. X is negative 2, y is negative 3. Right there. X is negative 5. Y is negative 4. Negative 5 gives you negative 4. And negative 5, negative 4. And a negative 10, which is way over here, gives you a negative 5. So you can see I didn't have the space there. So it comes down, down, down like that. There's the graph. And your domain is the x's. The range is your y's. The domain starts at negative 1. And the x's are going to the left. So it's less than equal to. Or you can see the x's in your table are going less and less and less. And the y's start at the negative 2. The range is the y value starting at negative 2 and they're going down. You can see negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Or you can start here, you can see you're going down. So less than equal to. So that's just a little bit on the graphing of the square y equals root x, transformations, etc. And using the mapping rule, using the initial table of 0, 1, 4, 9 for x and 0, 1, 2, 3 for y. Use your mapping rule, plug those values in, and you come up with the graph. And remember, the square root is not allowed to have a negative number underneath. And if you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Visit my website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.